Welcome to Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast, your podcast dedicated to all things Animal Crossing. This episode is brought to you by Naomi, one of our newest Patreon patrons. Today, Sergio and I will be talking about our plans for E3 2019 and our fears for Animal Crossing Switch. So to begin, hello Sergio, how you doing?
Hi Chuy, I'm doing quite well. I'm wearing a KK Slider shirt as I always do, but I'm also wearing my KK sweater because it is cold for once. I love it.
Yes, I love cold weather. It was like, I actually just came back from a picnic though, because it was also like kind of windy and chilly. So we came home because we were like, looks like a storm's getting blown over here, but no rain quite yet. But it was a nice day. But I do really like cold, rainy weather.
Yes.
And it's the best in Animal Crossing too.
Oh yes, for sure. And then the music changes, and you're so in the mood.
Yeah, and it just feels so right to be playing Animal Crossing like that. Even when it's like rainy in real life. I don't know, whether it's raining in Animal Crossing or raining in real life, it just feels like the perfect Animal Crossing time for me.
Right.
So I wanted to talk to you about our plans for E3. I know what we're doing together so far. Maybe we'll figure out we're doing more things together. Yes. But before that, I just want to say there are 2 weeks until E3 as of when this episode is actually out. For us, it's 2 weeks and 2 days, but that's not too different. That is only 16 days for us, 14 days for everybody else. This is the home stretch at this point.
Yes.
How are you feeling? Are you getting nervous? Are you getting excited? What's going on?
I'm getting excited, and I'm remembering that I'm also looking forward to a couple of other games. So I in a way, I want to focus on those so that when Animal Crossing hits, and I'm hoping it does, that's a big moment.
Yeah, and now that you're mentioning that there are other games, I always forget because I only ever think of Animal Crossing. But now that you mention that, this is within these next 2 weeks, I think we're going to hear something about Pokemon in some way.
Good point.
Yeah, typically Pokemon Company, they don't like to join Nintendo to do like an official E3 type of thing. They like to do their own thing,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so now we're at that point where it's close. Like they like to do something maybe the week before E3. So I wouldn't be surprised if this morning we've already seen an announcement for for Pokemon. See, I do it every single time. I forget other games exist. But I would not be surprised if we saw an announcement for Pokemon either this morning, the next, or even next week,
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is, that's a game that we're both looking forward to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's some big things going to happen. So also I wanted to say there are 3 episodes left before E3, including this one. So if you don't count this one, 2 episodes before E3. This one and next week's will be on Tuesday. Of course, this one's on Tuesday. And then the 3rd will be on the Monday before E3, which I think we're going to do more of a pre-3 pre-3 show,
Yes.
And that one, I feel like we can have, we're going to be jittery at that point. It's going to be prime Animal Crossing height right there.
Yes.
But I think we also have to take the time to talk about, some of the other things we're excited to see at this show. So
yes.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I can't help it. So I guess as far as the plans go for E3, what I'm thinking is we tried to watch at least the Super Mario Maker. That's the one. Mm-hmm. I wanted to say Super Mario Party. I don't know why. That came out a while ago.
Yes.
But Super Mario Maker, that we tried to watch on Rabbit, and it had some issues. We ran into some issues. Rabbit has been kind of posting a warning on their site that it's not working the best right now.
Right.
So I think what we're going to do, or what I'm going to do, what I'm planning on doing, is actually stream more of a live reaction thing on YouTube, which it's hard to watch those. At least if you want to chat with people and things during the E3 stuff,
Right. Right.
you can't really do that in the comments section of their like official Nintendo YouTube, because there's so many people
Oh
just
yes.
typing things in that. It's scrolling up like crazy. You don't know what to do. So I think if you want to be part of like a little smaller group watching it, I'm going to stream it on my channel. And it'll be a bit of a live reaction. And then I don't know what you wanted to do, Sergio, if you wanted to join. I know you wanted to be at least part of the rabbit thing, so I'm assuming you want to join on this one.
Yeah, for sure. And at first, I wanted to record my reaction, and I still might, but I think I would prefer to just be on the line with everyone so I can hear everyone's reactions. If we do anything like that, yeah, I think I prefer to do that. I want to hear the game, the announcements, but I also want to hear everyone's reactions.
Yeah, that's true. So I think the I guess how it's gonna work. Maybe maybe we'll be doing it through the podcast like live channel, so everybody can hear both of us,
Mhm.
and then we can also like see what people are saying on YouTube itself.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. I think we're gonna have a really fun time, and then of course after that we're going to record a live podcast. And I kind of talked to you about this earlier, but I think I found a way to have it stream to YouTube as well.
Yes.
So this may be the first live podcast recording that is also on YouTube.
Nice.
I don't know how much control I'll have over at least the video portion of that. I'll probably grab like a screenshot or something
Right.
and post it as the image. Maybe it'll just be whatever Animal Crossing is called. Animal Crossing Coming Home is what I'm hoping for now. But yeah, I'll probably post like the title of everything, but then you'll be able to hear at least the podcast on YouTube for the first time, and I think it'll be fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's exciting times ahead.
Yeah. So I also said we're doing this like after the direct, but that's also going to depend on the treehouse.
Oh yes.
Because if the Nintendo treehouse usually it goes right to them.
Yes.
Right after the direct, and if they go right into Animal Crossing, we're not recording the podcast yet. We're watching Nintendo treehouse go in depth with the game that is most important to us.
Yes.
And I'm sure none of you mind. Because we're all going to want to see whatever it is we're going to see.
Right, exactly.
And then I guess last little bit, I wanted to talk about what you can do to prepare for the festivities. The first thing, you can join our Discord. Link, as always, is in the description of this podcast. We're all getting hyped for it. There are a lot of people there who are already talking about Animal Crossing. They're always talking about what they want to see in the next game. And I haven't updated this in a little while. I still have to go through it. Maybe I'm going to try to spend some time this weekend, since it's been a long weekend. But I'm going to spend some time getting in order the name contest, at least the name guessing contest. So
yes,
anybody who doesn't know, this is a Discord exclusive contest. You can only enter if you're in the Discord. So I want to be clear about that. But it involves guessing the subtitle to Animal Crossing. You may have seen my tweets, or you've heard me refer to Animal Crossing Switch as Animal Crossing Coming Home. That's just a guess. That's one of the many guesses that is in our name guessing contest. But whoever guesses this name correctly will get a copy of Animal Crossing Switch for free. I guess we'll let you decide if you want it physically or digitally. Doesn't matter. You're getting a copy.
Yes.
And then I guess Sergio and I have guessed our own titles as well, but we haven't really decided what's going to happen if we get it right, have we?
No.
Yeah. We'll talk about that privately to make it something exciting and fun for everyone.
Right.
But yeah, I have to clean that up because there are some rules to it. For example, we don't want any duplicate titles. If you have a duplicate, I'm going to mark it. The thing tracks like when everybody inputted everything. So I can find out who put it in first.
Oh, nice.
And so the person who put it in second will have to change their name guess.
Right.
Maybe they're wrong about that one anyway. So you can come up with something better.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. But yeah, that's the main rule to it. Other things, like for example, if you're a Haken villager or, a supporter on Patreon, you get 10 guesses instead of 5, which 5 is already quite a bit.
Yes.
It's hard to come up with that many names. But 10, it's a lot to guess 10. Yeah, so it's fun. It's fun to be on the Discord these days, especially when we're 2 weeks away. I cannot believe it.
I know. And with so many guesses, I have a good feeling that someone there, one of the guesses has to be the correct one.
We're going to have hundreds upon hundreds.
Yeah.
But then I also would not be surprised if we're all wrong.
Yeah, I guess, knowing Nintendo, right?
Yeah, because I have a feeling it's going to be a name that captures some part of the gameplay in Animal Crossing. I feel like each title has always captured that. At least with the English titles, it's not too straightforward what it captures. The Japanese titles are more straightforward. Like, I think Animal Crossing New Leaf in Japan is called Animal Crossing Jump Out because of the 3D. Terrible name. I don't like it at all.
Same.
I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad that's not our name. So if you think it's going to be Animal Crossing Jump Out, go ahead and leave that guess. It's something. And then the last thing, of course, is, subscribe to the YouTube. That's where we're going to have a lot of these things going down. And we mentioned earlier, like, we record these podcasts live on Discord. This time it's going to be live on both. So if you don't feel like joining the Discord, it's optional. You don't have to. But if you want to, like, you will be able to hear the live show there, or you can just head over to YouTube and see it there. So
yes,
I'll probably pay more attention to the Discord chat more while that's going on, just because we'll actually be on Discord using it. And I don't know, I don't want to like stretch my internet too thin by having both of those things open.
Yeah.
So yeah. So a lot of the live interaction will probably be within the Discord server, but YouTube will be there and we'll be able to, at least get people on there listening as well. Because I know some people don't really want to be on Discord.
Yeah.
And that's not a problem.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, how are you feeling again? That it's almost E3.
I know, I'm feeling great, and it's very exciting, and it's good. I think it's good to find other distractions. Like, one of the games that I'm really looking forward to is actually, it's not even on a Nintendo system. It's the sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, and that's hopefully gonna get a release date the Sunday before the Tuesday that we're looking forward to. So I'm kind of focusing on that, and then 2 days after that, we're getting the big one.
Yeah. There's I guess maybe next week we should talk about that actual E3 schedule, because everybody kind of does things throughout the weekend and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So there's really a lot to do. Like, once we hit at least like the Friday before E3, it's going to start getting real busy.
Yes.
Because I think Saturday, Nintendo is going to have all of their tournaments and things.
Right.
Splatoon, Smash, Super Mario Maker 2. It's going to be exciting. I cannot wait for that stuff. And then Sunday, you have like tons of conferences throughout the day. And Monday as well.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah. Once that weekend hits, it's going to be entertaining, at least for anybody who has, interest in gaming in general. So it's going to be a big thing.
Yes.
But then, of course, I know a lot of us are just really only interested in Animal Crossing, but that Tuesday is going to come fast.
Right. And so it's likely the last conference, and it's probably going to be the last game that Nintendo announces, just because it's Animal Crossing. So
and they have to do it to us. They have to torture us. I have a feeling it's either going to be like the first thing they show or the very last thing they show. And I'm going to be we're going to sit through a lot of things, and we're just, it's going to make it hard, to be honest. It's going to be hard to enjoy the show up until I see Animal Crossing, you know?
Yes.
Because I felt that the last direct that we got way back in
Yeah.
February, where I couldn't really enjoy it until I knew whether or not Animal Crossing was there. And then once I knew it wasn't, I went back and I rewatched it, and I was like, okay, there's some cool things, you know?
Yeah.
So I hope they show it first.
That'll be nice. And the same thing is gonna happen. We're gonna be too distracted with what we saw, and we're not gonna focus on the rest. We're probably gonna have to rewatch it a couple times.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna watch it probably a million times. I always watch it a ton of times. Like I watch it probably twice on my own, and then I watch a bunch of people react to it.
Oh, nice.
And then I'm just gonna watch the Animal Crossing trailer over and over
Yes.
and over. So it should be fun. But speaking of fun, maybe we should start talking about something a little bit more negative, and that is our fears. We're going to be discussing all of our fears about the next Animal Crossing game. And I mean, this is probably isn't all of them, but I think we got a good list of fears going on.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of talking, Sergio. How about we go through your list first?
Yeah, that sounds good. And I guess my biggest fear, honestly, would be if there are no refinements to the multiplayer in the game. So, New Leaf did okay. It had online play and it worked, but there were still a couple of issues. There was a little bit of lag sometimes. The connection took a little while. Sometimes you would lose the player messages during loading screens. A couple little issues like that. And I feel like in today's day and age, everyone is part of a community like Haken, and everyone wants to play together and play multiplayer online because it's a lot easier now. There's always somebody willing to play and willing to trade or willing to just visit your town to have fun. So I think it would be very beneficial for Nintendo to focus on that and to embrace the multiplayer. Again, Animal Crossing is considered a communication game. So I think they really have to step it up a little bit in terms of multiplayer, at least refine what's there and make it work really, really well. Make sure there are no dropped connections or as little as possible. And yeah, I think honestly, my biggest fear is if the multiplayer is kind of the same as in New Leaf or if it's not refined enough. Because, like I said, I think it should be. And yeah, this is honestly my biggest fear. I hope they do refine it.
Yes, I agree. And it's mostly because you're spot on with it being a communication game where it's just a lot of the enjoyment that I get from this game is being able to see what other people are doing with their things. Like, I mean, of course, the first amount of fun, the biggest amount of fun I get is obviously from playing it myself and doing my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that does not stop me from just watching other people play, watching other people do things, visiting other towns, visiting people and just playing the game with them,
yes.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's just one big important layer to the game. And to add to this, like, one thing they've never done with Animal Crossing is local multiplayer. And I don't quite know how they're going to pull this off if they did do it, but I do know like the Switch was a machine that that Nintendo marketed as being a share the joy kind of thing. Like you can take a Joy-Con off, hand it to the person next to you, they can play with you, you know?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's something that has literally never existed in Animal Crossing. And I guess the reason I'm interested in them doing that sort of multiplayer aspect is because of my times when I first started playing Animal Crossing, where I was with my brother, with my friend, and we were just taking turns to play the game. And then even then, we all got Wild World and we all, visited each other's towns from our own I guess at that time, DS.
Right.
So, I don't know. I feel like it would change the gameplay quite a bit. It would, especially like for people with siblings and, friends who are over all the time, like to just be able to pick up and play and build a town together. That seems cool. And then even having that as like an online feature. I know you and I have talked about this a lot, but like having a shared online town is awesome.
Yes.
I would love to see that happen. But yeah, I don't know. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, for sure. And another thing is being able to help people that are just starting, especially after the months keep going on and we're still playing a lot, and there's gonna be new people, new players that we want to help out with like items, to just to get them started a little bit quicker. So if the multiplayer experience is more refined, more yeah, more refined, like better, no connection issues or less lag, for sure, I think that's a big improvement.
Yeah. Yeah, and I totally agree with your fears here too. Just like not seeing the multiplayer grow at all would be a bummer to me. Especially because like we're losing some aspects to Animal Crossing at this point where we don't have Street Pass, for
Yes, that's
example.
true.
And that was a really cool feature. Like I loved it. Um and this is now making me think of another fear I'm going to add while you go over your next one.
That sounds good. And well, I'll move on to the next one, which is if the game is sort of a complete reimagining, if it is changed way too much. And I thought of this because I saw a tweet by a listener in Haken Villager, Medi. He mentioned that he was hearing somebody say, what if Animal Crossing was like an adventure game, a full-on adventure game, something like Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I think that the thinking behind that, what if Animal Crossing just changes completely to a different genre, and maybe that's why it's taking so long to get the new game, or maybe that's also why we haven't seen anything about it. I think if Animal Crossing goes through such a drastic change, it's probably gonna be very controversial. It could be good, but it's just gonna take away from the core, the essence of Animal Crossing. It would be like taking away the real time aspect of it. And if they do change it to another genre, maybe they would take away the real time. It gets tricky and a little bit concerning. I know we have talked about introducing a couple of parts from other genres into Animal Crossing, like we discussed random dungeons, or maybe a couple little parts from RPG elements, or even like farming, like Harvest Moon. I think those would be nice. I think they would have to be slight and they would have to be done correctly. But if you really change everything about it, it's probably gonna be for the worse.
Yeah, and I totally know. I saw that tweet as well that Medi put out there, and I also listened to that same podcast that they were talking about. It was the Nintendo voice chat, and they just happened to
Right.
be talking about Animal Crossing in this episode, and they did mention like, not so much like. I guess I don't remember exactly, but it felt more like they were adding some sort of like adventure type of thing to it.
Ooh.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I don't know why you would want to change that. Like, it's the same kind of thing where, Paper Mario's going through some trouble right now because Nintendo feels like, oh, we already have Mario and Luigi, and those are RPGs, and Paper Mario has to be different in some way,
Right.
Like, Nintendo already wants to make different games. Like, they don't want to make just one type of game. So Animal Crossing's their life sim. Like they can't really change that,
Yes.
I feel like they shouldn't, at least. So I'd be devastated if they did. But as far as like adding some different types of elements to it, I think that's possible. I think the one thing that has to happen though is that I feel Animal Crossing has a really good context around how you get everything in the game.
Mhm.
For example, like, you catch things, you go fishing for a day to get some money, and then you use that money to buy furniture, and the selection changes every single day.
Yes.
Like, there's a context to getting everything. So I just feel like there has to be some sort of context that works with any like new type of feature they add.
Okay. Okay.
So, because it's like a very realistic type of growth that you go through in the sense of like, there is a real time clock and there are some things that slow you down in making progress, but it's also nice. Because I feel it's nice to just play a little bit and then experience how it feels like once you've made all the progress that you've made.
Yes, yes, and these little things that they keep adding to the series over time, I think that's the real key to keeping Animal Crossing as improved as it can be. I agree. I don't think it needs such a drastic reimagining, and it's it's possible. You never know, but I don't think it's likely, and I don't think it would be helpful or needed.
Yeah, yeah, because it's already fun to do the things you do, and I don't know. I feel like it's a game that people just need to try to really understand. You could watch it, and if you're not really a life sim type of fan, you might not see the appeal, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
I remember playing the game in front of my mom, and she was like, I don't know what's going on. You're just walking around. Yeah, and I was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a hard game to recognize what aspect of it is the game.
Right.
um, but once you do, you're hooked. Like, I don't think you need
Yes.
to do too much to really understand how great Animal Crossing is. Just play it.
Yeah, just give it a chance. Not just a few minutes. Maybe something. It might take at least a week. Maybe even more, because it really grows on you and it changes. And you start seeing the magic of playing the game a lot, and also just being patient and waiting for the next day and the next day, and then it just continues forever.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen people say, like, they played for 5 hours or something. And I'm like, you're not anywhere close to really experiencing what Animal Crossing is
Yes.
by only putting 5 hours into it. And maybe, a lot of times it's not for you, but I mean, is 5 hours, 5 hours isn't even enough to like see KK Slider in New Leaf,
Right.
which is like, once you see that, of course you're going to love the game. So I feel like you have to just understand that it's something that takes a little bit more time, a little bit more work to really see how you progress in the game and see how satisfying it is.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
So moving on to my next fear, and I guess for the record, for on my list, I'm not exactly afraid of things they would add that they would change the game too much. I'm mostly afraid of things they wouldn't add. And this next one is an example of that. It would be if they don't add new personalities to the villagers. So right now
Mm.
we have 8, and New Leaf added 2, which was great. So I want Animal Crossing Switch to add at least 2 more to that. 4 would be amazing. I think 2 would be good. Two would be really good, actually. So if they don't add 2, or maybe they could also just combine personalities. We talked about having a lazy villager that is a little bit smug sometimes, depending on the weather, the day. I don't know. They could figure something out, and in that way, that would change things enough so much. Uh, Eventually, when once you start playing a lot, like most of us do, you kind of run into the same conversations or just the same personality traits. So it would be nice to have at least 2 new ones, or to have combined personalities. And I think if Nintendo adds even a lot of other things to the game, but the personalities stay the same 8 with no combination, that's going to be a little bit disappointing. I think that's going to take away from the variety that Animal Crossing can provide, especially when you talk to the villagers, and then when they start repeating the same things, that kind of does take you away from the moment.
Yeah, and I hadn't even thought of that, but we've had discussions before about like how cool it would be to see different personalities and have different, I guess, just ways that animals have to express themselves, Because where a lot of the charm in the game is. It's talking to the villagers and getting to know them.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so, yeah, I mean, that's a big part of the game. And I would for sure to be disappointed if we didn't get any new ones. I mean, it's very rare that we get new personalities. For example, New Leaf added 2 of them.
Mhm.
And that was the first time that any personalities had been added.
Right.
And so, but then at the same time, like New Leaf also had like very toned down personalities where villagers were still overall like just nice.
Yes.
So it's hard to strike that balance of having new dialogue, but then I guess adding like a whole personality's worth of dialogue, but then also not getting to flesh them out all the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I hope they add more though. regardless, because I feel like they're, especially what you said about the blending type of thing,
Yes. Hmm.
because I think that's nice.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Just if they do, let's say they just keep the eight, but they go ahead and then dial them back up again. The cranky villagers are gonna be really cranky again, and they're gonna be really defined and separate. I think that would be good enough for me. I think.
Yeah, yeah, I would like that a lot.
Yeah, for sure. So my next fear on the list is if they just don't have too many new things in the game, basically. So I was thinking, New Leaf, it got the Welcome Amiibo update. What if the next Animal Crossing game of the Switch is sort of like that? It's Animal Crossing and it gets a couple new features, a couple of refinements like Welcome Amiibo did. What if that's all there is? And we've been waiting for 6 years, or Japan has been waiting for almost 7 years. And what if it's just that? What if it's just a little bit of an improvement? Not necessarily a remaster of New Leaf, but like it would be like a new generation, but it would be very basic, very safe, and very close to the formula. That could be. That would be nice. I mean, we're gonna be playing this game a lot anyway, but it would be a little bit disappointing, especially again considering the time that they have been taking to develop it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this is probably my fear. Excuse me. My fear is that it's just New Leaf in HD.
Mm,
I would be disappointed. I'd be really disappointed, mostly because I just don't want to play New Leaf anymore. I've been playing New Leaf. It's been
yes.
6 years of that game, and I would. I don't know. I've already spent like 1,000 hours on New Leaf, over 1,000 hours, and I'm gonna need a bigger update than the game being in HD.
Right.
We already saw how that went with Amiibo Festival. It was it was in HD, sure, but it just wasn't anything great. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I guess my biggest sort of comeback to that fear, which is definitely a fear for sure, is just the fact that this game has taken so long to make. I just don't see how it can be just an HD version of New Leaf. It's possible. We cannot say until we see it. But I think that the long development time is sort of a reassurance that this is going to be big.
yeah, that's true. I mean, it's been a long, long time since we've seen an Animal Crossing game, at least like a mainline game.
Yes.
So I'm hoping, I'm sure they took a little break from the game. And then I'm sure they're coming back from whatever they did and thinking, all right, let's look at this with fresh eyes and
Yes.
see what we can do to really grow the gameplay,
Yeah, and hopefully, I'm pretty sure that 3DS had a lot of limitations as the hardware itself, and now the Switch, either console or handheld, I'm sure it's a lot stronger, a lot more processor heavy, and that could open up a lot of things that they maybe just couldn't do before. So even that alone could change things considerably, I hope.
Yeah, definitely. That's something I'm looking forward to, like just having this game on a system that's strong, like
Yes.
a powerful system. At least this is, I mean, like I mentioned, I don't want it to just be an HD game, but knowing that it can be HD makes me just wonder, like, what else can it do?
Right.
I'm sure it can do a lot.
Nice. That's a good point. Yeah. So my last two fears are more feature specific, and the first one has to do with the patterns that we as the player can have. So New Leaf had a total of 10 slots for your custom designs or patterns, and just for my town paths alone, I wanted, honestly, I wanted 15 if I really wanted to do the paths the way I wanted. So with only having 10, I kind of had to settle with just 7, and then I had 3 extras for like clothing or different other patterns. So if we can have at least 15 in the new game, that would be great. If we can have 20, that would be nicer, and it makes sense to go from 10 to 20. And I know a lot of people had to make like a secondary player in their New Leaf towns, somebody they would really never play as, only to have patterns or paths and lay them out, and maybe as their houses using them for storage. But that was it. And I always felt like that was it took too much space, having an extra house there just so you can have a couple more paths or patterns. I just want them to be on the player themselves. Like I said, 15 or 20, I think that would be great.
Yeah, I agree. I know a lot of people really want more patterns slash better like layout options for when you are making like paths and that sort of thing.
Yes.
And then also like one major way that this benefits too is like not only do you have room for like path patterns, you have some room for like clothing
Yes.
patterns. Because letting go of that is hard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's like it was worth making another character just to do paths and stuff and let you keep some of your cute designs that you've made, you know?
Right. Hmm.
So I agree.
And last but definitely not least, if there's not enough new KK slider related things. So in New Leaf, there were 16 songs added by KK Slider. For this one, I know he's had a hand in so many genres. I don't expect 16 or even 15. I think 12 would be a nice number of new tracks. Ideally, I want to see more things. I want to see more KK Slider venues or like an upgradable system, or like he has like, I don't want to say like a story mode, but like you can see him going from just in front of the train station to the coffee shop to his new venue or concert event or something, sort of like a progression. That would be great. But if they decide to just add things to KK or just add songs to him, I think 12 would be a nice number. Anything less could be, I think it would be a little disappointing, especially, so many genres out there. I know he's done a lot, but there's room for more.
Yeah, and that's an album's worth of songs. So yeah, I agree. He could just write some more.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what also would be interesting? Like if you got, because DJ KK, you could go every day to listen to those remixes and the stuff that he did, but you couldn't really like get it for your own play. So even seeing like those pop up in the stores where you get the DJ KK versions of the songs.
Oh, yes.
Because that's something we haven't been able to get before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. I want to see KK Slider's presence kind of grow in this game. I feel like he's always a bit of an enigma, and so it'd be nice to see more.
Yeah, maybe there's like a fandom group and you can join and eventually become like the leader.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So I guess I should go through my fears, and
Yes.
I didn't write as many as you. I had some specific ones that are big. I've already talked about like if the game was just New Leaf in HD. I would not like that. I definitely want a Switch game. So my first one is just Animal Crossing not being shown at all.
Right.
If that were to happen, I'd be bummed. I'd be bummed. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's my first fear. And I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are also fearing this because it's possible, but I think I'm at the point where I just don't believe it'll happen that way. I think we're going to see Animal Crossing, so
Hopefully.
yeah.
I mean, right away, I do think of a couple of good reasons why it wouldn't, but I don't even want to say them. I want to see the game. There are good reasons, but it's been so long and they haven't told us otherwise, so we better see it.
Yeah. The next one is if we were to see microtransactions, because I think
Oh, yes.
the more I play Pocket Camp, the less interested I am in a lot of like the Leaf ticket items and sort of that sort of stuff.
Yes.
The other day I made like a Let's Play and I just blew through some Leaf tickets, and I kind of
Oh.
kept doing that on my own time. And even now I'm planning to do another video where I just spend the rest of them. So yeah, I just want to not have that in the next game. I just don't think it works in this in at least mainline Animal Crossing games, because you've always had the ability to essentially get an item, put it down in somebody else's town, and then they get to they can just pick it up, you know?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so it doesn't make sense to have microtransactions for things like furniture when things can just be traded so easily.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me to have microtransactions.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a valid fear because they themselves, it seems like they themselves either don't know how much Pocket Camp integration they want to have, or they do know and they just don't want to be too open about it because it might not be what we want to hear. So it's definitely a concern. I just hope there's a good balance, and maybe the games are connected, but in a nice, good, and free way without really requiring microtransactions on either from Pocket Camp to the Switch game or on the Switch game itself. It would be nice if they connect, but it would be nice to do it properly.
Yeah. And that said, there are types of microtransactions that I'd be okay with. And that's in the form of like a physical thing, such as Amiibo. And so I forgot to write this one down, but it is a fear of mine. But I would just be afraid if there wasn't any Amiibo integration in this game.
Oh, good point. Good point.
I know a lot of people don't really want it. They felt like it broke the game in some way, but you know, it's always been an optional thing. And for me, I've spent so much time and money getting as many Amiibo
Right.
for Animal Crossing as possible. Pretty soon, I'm getting the Sanrio set from Newt, one of our Haken villagers and a good friend of the show. But she's sending me over some Sanrio cards, and I'm just like, this is amazing. I'm literally going to be 2 cards away from completing the entire series. And the 2 I'm
Wow.
missing are the Japan-only cards. So, I don't know. After getting that much of the collection, I'd just be sad if I couldn't use it, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a good point. And I guess the only one, it would be nice if they could, whatever you get with the amiibo, you could do it through the game itself. I guess the tricky one would be deciding a specific villager that you want. Maybe if they add an option for you to do that once a month, you can select whoever you want. And if you have the amiibo, you can just do it whenever, once a day instead of just once a month. But for sure, I think the amiibo have to be recognized, and it would be very nice to get new figures too.
Yeah, I would want new figures. I would want a new set of cards for like the new characters they add, you know?
Yes. Hmm.
So I think I want there to be more. I want there to be more amiibo, not less amiibo.
Yeah.
um,
I It would be nice to have everyone back. Everyone is here again, but now for Animal Crossing, and just have them get their own amiibo cards too.
yeah, definitely. So I'm pro amiibo. I want more of them.
Yes.
And you know, I've already said I've bought so many, but I'd buy more. The other thing, I just don't want a game that feels like it ends, that doesn't have like enough debt or things to
Hmm.
pay off, you know?
Right, right.
That's my other fear, because I feel like I love paying things off in Animal Crossing, and once I'm done with that, I think a big part of the game just disappears. Just like that.
Hmm.
And I mean, it is something you spend a long time doing, but once it's gone, it's just not the same to me. You know, I feel like
Yeah.
there's a lot of fun working toward those goals. So I just don't. That's one of my fears. Just that there isn't enough debt in the game.
No, it makes sense, and then it also gets tricky because you want to pay everything else so you can have the biggest and the nicest looking house, but then the sooner you get it, the sooner it's over, like you said, and
Yeah.
it would be very nice to have other things throughout the whole game. Just make it last a lot longer.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, like you want to do that. You want to see what your house looks like when it's
Right.
huge because it changes, you know. So, I'm hoping they add some things that let you do more to customize your house. Like I loved what they did with New Leaf where you could buy different exteriors, different roofs, different kinds of things, but to be able to like change your layout completely and get like a physically outside looking house that looks different based on that layout, it would just be really awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, not limiting that. Like let us downgrade, let us upgrade whenever we
Yes.
want.
Yes.
So I feel like that's going to keep the game just going forever and ever.
Yeah. What if you can buy just a second house and it's yours?
That would be awesome. Like one of the big things that I would love to see in this next game is like being able to expand our town. Because we've always gotten to a town and it's the size that it is, but
Mhm.
at some point I feel like you outgrow it and it's time to expand. So I don't know. I hope we see that. Like being
Yes.
able to expand the town and do just more. And maybe buy another house somewhere else.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
your vacation home, man, that'd be
Because
great.
you got a vacation home in the first game. If you had a Game Boy
Yeah.
Advance and plugged it in, you could go to the island and you got your vacation. So it was an extra house that you could fill with things.
Yeah.
So I would love that. And then my final fear is no Nintendo Switch app. At least, like, because we have the
Mm.
Nintendo Switch Online app, and
Yes.
the only things that really have something there are Smash and Splatoon. And for the longest time, it was only Splatoon that had anything.
Yeah.
So I would want to see a Nintendo Switch app for Animal Crossing that does some of the features that the Switch is missing. Like maybe it has a camera, so you could scan QR codes that you have. Maybe,
Yes.
because that stuff would probably be locked behind the paywall of online, so you would have access to the app regardless.
Mm. Hmm.
But like even the Street Pass type of things, like being able to post your home up on the Happy Home Showcase, and others can get your Happy Home in their game. But I don't know. Whatever they decide to do with the app, I want it.
Yeah, we talked about how much potential there is there. You could post your turnip prices for your friends list. You could set reminders if you have like a play date with one of the villagers and you don't want to forget. The app could remind you. Sharing content like screenshots and videos is going to be so much easier if, well, assuming they do everything they can with the app. So for sure, if there's nothing or just voice chat, very limited app usage, yeah, for sure that would be disappointing.
Yeah, so that's what I want to see. I just want to see a game that is updated. I want a new game.
Yeah, yeah, and always connected.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on from our fears and start talking about other people's fears. So this is Haken's Villager Corner. For those of you who don't know, we ask our patrons on Patreon a question every single week, and this one was kind of late, but we got lots of answers regardless. This week's question is, what is something that could be added to this Animal Crossing game that would make it worse to you? So we've been talking about our fears. We've been talking about things they can do. So let's go ahead and go back and forth while we see these questions and answers.
Yes.
Do you want to start?
Yes, and the first answer is by Abedea, and they say not having the fruits stack automatically. This is very true. It was very time consuming, and why stop at 9?
That's true. You're right. I can't even say anything about that. Don't even let us stack 9. Let us
Yeah.
stack every single fruit to like 999.
Yeah.
I agree. So the next answer is from Arden and Herman, and they said, not being able to send letters to online friends. Being able to do this in the older games was so much fun, and it was disappointing when this feature was gone in New Leaf. Yes, I think City Folk was the best example because City Folk let you send letters between towns, and we need that. Like, just please do that.
Yeah, why would you remove something? I've never understood that in game development. I know sometimes you have to if the hardware limitation is in place, but otherwise why would you remove a feature that is especially one that is so beloved, by players? It should always be keep what works, keep what people like and add or refine it.
Yeah, and it's not only one that works, it's one that I feel like Nintendo built Animal Crossing around, which
Yeah,
is
oh,
communication.
yeah.
And you take one of the literal forms of communication away from us. That's not cool.
Yeah.
Not cool. um, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen again. Our next answer is by Quantrell Tobal, and he says, marriage to villagers or having to be an animal. So, wow, that would be, again, yeah, that would be a very drastic change. I don't know. I don't want these either.
I couldn't handle it. I mean, whenever I play life sims, even the ones that have like marriage simulation type of things, that's the last thing I go to
Ah.
in those games. Um, I think it's fine that people like that, but overall, it's just not the first thing I gravitate to. It's not the
Mhm.
thing that I'm most into. Also, it's just kind of weird
Yeah.
with Animal Crossing to do that.
Yeah.
Um, and then having to be an animal, I've talked about this before. I'd be overwhelmed if we could pick an animal to be. I'd just spend
Oh, no.
way too long trying to figure that out. So
Right.
I couldn't handle that.
No, no, we would be changing once a day or once a week. No, that would be too hard.
I'd need a million towns, is what I would need, just to be every single animal.
Right.
So Grizzly Nina says, I think the only thing they could add to make the game worse is extra days tacked onto the release. Oh, and I really don't like the hourly reminders to turn off the game. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
When the villagers come up and say, hey, you're looking tired. Do you want to take a
Yeah.
break? No, villager, I'm not looking tired. I look great and I feel fine. I'm going to keep playing.
I know I
So,
haven't slept in 20 hours, but trust me, I'm fine.
yeah, this is the healthiest I've ever been.
Right, right. Oh man, and yeah, just adding more days to the release date. Of course, we don't want that. We want 2019, even if it's the last day of the year. But they promised.
Acceptable. I will take the last day of the year.
So Tap says microtransactions. I'm okay with having to possibly pay for one big DLC with new areas to explore in addition to new items, but I don't want to have to pay every time I'm trying to collect a special furniture set or to get some outfits. I highly doubt that it would happen, but I wouldn't like it if it did. And I think this is one of the big concerns that people do have, especially coming off Pocket Camp. It's very viable, and especially with Nintendo figuring out that most of the recent games have had some type of DLC. I think it's almost a given, but I hope, like Tab said, that it's just normal one time only DLC payment.
Yeah, I'd be more into that, where we get a late in the life cycle of the
Mm,
game, just big update. I wouldn't mind paying for that. Like, I probably would have paid for Welcome Amiibo if that were a paid
mm,
DLC
true.
upgrade, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the microtransactions, I talked about it earlier, but it doesn't make sense for the game. I just feel like it doesn't fit, and I'm not interested. I'm way less interested now in all of that stuff in Pocket Camp, so
Oh yeah.
it's not for me.
Yeah.
So Trevi Boo says, animal tracks, or the depleting grass from playing or walking more. In theory, the idea sounds interesting, but no, just no.
Yeah.
I feel like it's improved since City Folk. City Folk, your place looked terrible after a while.
Yeah.
New Leaf, I feel like not many people run into an issue with it. I think they're at a good spot for that. People still avoid running and everything.
Yes.
But personally, I actually kind of like it. I like kind of the natural paths you can make through your town, and I want to work more on that in my game.
Oh, nice. Well, I feel like most people that want paths, they probably want their own designs. So I think the natural ones are great, but I do think I have always wanted to be able to buy grass or to buy like fertilizer that works for just the natural grass, so I can. Sometimes there's a little dirt spot that I really don't want because it's only in that specific area. So if they can add a way for you to kind of quote unquote fix that, I would really like that.
Yeah, and you make a good point. Like, I forgot about the fertilizer. I think a lot of people were very confused when that didn't really do anything for your grass.
Yeah.
Um, so they need to fix that. They need to give us more uses for the fertilizer.
Yep, yeah, for sure. So Jam says microtransactions and not being able to choose where my villagers live because I do not want to have to regularly pay for progression, and I'm tired of villagers moving in front of my house and or my bridges. Like, why? Yeah, and again, this is another one that was a little bit improved with Welcome Amiibo, but yeah, for sure, especially considering that, you're the mayor, you should be able to have better say on where people move in exactly. You could just designate house spots ahead of time.
Yeah, zoning laws exist in real life. So, I mean, Animal Crossing is kind of a game about the mundane, where you're paying off your debt, you're paying your
Yeah.
mortgage, is the main goal. So, if you're going to work for the government, there should be some power in being able to zone where villagers can move in. I think my favorite way to do it is still like being able to put up a sign as a public works project, like, this is a residential area, you can move
Yes.
here. And then people move there. And then maybe they move away and you can remove that sign and move it somewhere else, And
Nice.
because maybe you didn't really like that spot after all. So just change it.
That would be the easiest rezoning ever.
It really would. So Grace says, or a penguin named Abraham, distinct friendship levels like in Pocket Camp. I don't put a number on how close I am with my friends in real life, and I don't want to do it in to my Animal Crossing friends either. This makes sense. I think it's a lot nicer when you like slowly start unlocking new lines of dialogue that kind of tell you, hey, I'm getting pretty close to this animal,
Yeah.
We're becoming good friends. So it seems weird to put like an actual level to it. So yeah, I can see why that's weird.
Definitely, and I think Grace or a penguin named Abraham has mentioned this before, and I definitely agree. I feel like there's other ways how you can tell when you're getting really close to the villager, and that's nice. I do want a way to sort of tag at least one or two villagers so that there's really no way for them to move out, even if you kind of don't talk to them for a while, only because you just never happen to see them. But yeah, I don't want the friendship level. I think there's other ways to handle that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So Kali says, not trying some sort of tree to track your progress. I'm so fond of the town tree. I'll be fine with some equivalent in different shape or form, but it's always been charming to have your progress shown in the size of the tree you planted. Yes, this is very true. I think the town tree is gonna stay. It would be nice if they do change it to something else, but definitely, Kali, I agree with you. There has to be a way, and it's probably gonna be the first thing you do again in the town in your game. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I am obsessed with the town tree. I love that it just gets so big and it grows and it's awesome. I want other trees to grow big too. um, so yeah, I would love to see that be kept in some way where we can just get a big tree that shows our progress.
Yeah, in hindsight, man, that just connects so much to the subtitle New Leaf. You're planting a new tree on day one.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Newt says, less dialogue. Even though a lot of us say we'd like to have more dialogue, I really appreciate the amount we already have so far in New Leaf. I definitely wouldn't want them to make less dialogue. I would make every other villager feel like one and the same. Or it would make every other villager feel like one
Yeah.
and the same. Yeah, like it would just be a bummer to not see at least like villagers just feel different, Because I feel like after a while in New Leaf, you do kind of run into that where they say kind of the same thing over and over.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, I don't talk to anybody anymore. And I feel like that's sad that you don't talk to your neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure we've all experienced that super weird and random conversation in New Leaf that just catches us out of nowhere and we had no idea that it was there. For sure, if there are more dialogue, those are going to happen more often, and that's what I want to see for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So Lyalatron says, I don't want any leveling from Pocket Camp. Plus, microtransactions would be a huge disappointment. Everything should be available as something to be earned, not behind the paywall. Nintendo wouldn't do this to us, would they? I agree. I don't think they would. We even talked in a previous episode that Nintendo is holding back Dragalia Lost, their other mobile game. They're kind of holding it back from all the potential schemes or ways that it could charge people for money. So I think Nintendo is very aware of how much is the right amount, or even less. I think Nintendo's DLC is underpriced, all things considered. So I expect Animal Crossing to be the same.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point about having items that we earn. And I feel like Animal Crossing Switch, I feel like it's a game that we're earning at this point. Like, we've been waiting so long. I think we've earned an Animal Crossing game at this point.
Yeah.
So, and to me, that doesn't say, like, oh, charge me for every little thing in the game.
Yeah.
So, it'd be a bummer. So Cathario says, no microtransactions is a big one, but I find it very unlikely to happen since that tends to be part of the mobile games more. I can't think of anything specific, but messing up the atmosphere of Animal Crossing would be terrible. If it feels too fast-paced or demanding, cough cough, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, it will take away from the experience of gradually exploring the town and getting to know the villagers. Yeah, and the pace is like, it's something that I think a lot of players really appreciate about Animal Crossing. Because it doesn't force you to do anything right away. Like, I feel like there's always this awareness that, like, you can go and do something later. You can do this next year if you missed it. So it just keeps turning. The world keeps turning, and you keep getting to that point again, and you can be like, yeah, this time I'm going to catch this tarantula during the summer, you know?
Yeah. And thinking back on, the first couple of days when we get the game, or like we did in New Leaf, we played so much, and I feel like there's only so much you can do, especially in your first days. And in a way that felt kind of limited because, we have more time, we want to do more things, we want the next day to come already. But it's for the best. The pacing is absolutely perfect. Everything changes the next day, and that just makes the next day just as exciting as the last. That's the beauty of Animal Crossing.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah. And our last answer for this week is by Rolu. And they say, being able to transfer items over from Pocket Camp. It's unfair to those who didn't spend the time or money on that game, and basically microtransactions with extra steps. That's a good point. If they're able to bring everything back from Pocket Camp, that's very true. There's some people that just didn't really care for the mobile game, and they just want to wait for the new mainline game. And if they lose out on that just because of their decision, yeah, I can see why that would be disappointing.
Yeah, and it's like, a lot of people were not interested in playing Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, because I agree. I think for a lot of people, mobile games are not their thing, and that's what I agree with. I just usually don't play mobile games. The only mobile game I play is literally Animal Crossing Pocket Camp.
Yeah.
Nothing else has gotten me to play it for as long as this game has.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think it's not a style of game that's for everybody. It's not something that's interesting to everybody. So, yeah, I can definitely see why they would feel like, oh man, I didn't play this game that I totally wasn't interested in, and now I'm not getting the full experience from Animal Crossing.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone that is playing Pocket Camp has played it with this in mind, like, oh, I want all these things so that I can transfer them to the new game. It's a possibility. We don't know until we hear the details. But I think your time into Pocket Camp, it's already rewarded in Pocket Camp itself. So I can agree with this for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't even think about that too. But yeah, I just played Pocket Camp because that was what we had to play.
Yeah.
It was a new Animal Crossing
Yeah.
thing, and it's what I had access to. Yeah, so I think everybody's got some good fears. We're going to get some answers really soon. Like I said, it's 2 weeks till E3. We are just about there. We're going to see something new, and it's going to be special. It's going to be something really nice.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you all so much for listening. If you want to be part of the conversation on all things Animal Crossing, join the Discord. Like I said in the beginning, we have a lot of people excited for the game. It's really exciting, and we're going to be doing a lot of live things, and you can join our name guessing contest. So I have a link in the description of this podcast. It's totally free to join. You don't have to be a patron. And if you do join, you can get Sergio and my friend codes. And if you do want to become a patron, visit patreon.com/ChewiePlaysNintendo. For just $1, you can support our show, get tons of cool things, answer these Haken Villager questions, and you can see our current goals to improve the show and our content. And we're getting really close to the $100 goal, which will get us a new piece of Haken artwork every single month. And that's going to be exciting because lately I've only been doing every season, so doing that every month would be really awesome.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, we really try to make it worth it because we appreciate your support. If you're watching or listening to the show on YouTube, please leave a comment to let us know what could be added to Animal Crossing Switch that would make it worse to you. And please leave a review of the show wherever you're listening. It helps the show gain some visibility and allows our community to grow. And once again, thank you for listening, and we hope you have a great week.
Goodbye, everybody.